Install Gaia according to the Endpoint Sizing Guide. Open a browser from a computer that can communicate with the Endpoint Policy Server to start the first-time configuration wizard. Enter the IP address of the Endpoint Policy Server. When prompted with the certificate warning, click Proceed. Log in with the account you configured during the Gaia installation. Click Next to start the configuration. Select Continue with R80 configuration and click Next. You can edit the network settings that were configured during Gaia installation and click Next to continue. Configure host name, domain name, and DNS settings and click Next to continue. Set your time and date settings and click Next. Select Security Gateway and Security Management and click Next. Set Define Security Management as Log Server and click Next. Specify GUI clients that will be allowed to log into the Security Management server. The default option is any IP address. Click Next. Enter the activation key that will be used for secure internal communication. Click Next. Click Finish to complete the first-time wizard. Click Yes to start the configuration process. Once the configuration process is complete, click OK. Log out of the Gaia Web UI. Launch Smart Endpoint and log in. Go to the top left menu and navigate to Manage and select Endpoint Servers. In the Endpoint Server dialog box, select New and choose Endpoint Server. Enter the name and IP address of the Endpoint Policy Server. Ensure that the Endpoint Policy Server radio button is selected. Click Next. Enter the activation key for secure internal communication that you entered during the first-time wizard and click Initialize. When the trust state shows Trust Established, click Next. You should see the new policy server with a communication state of communicating. Click Finish. This will save the configuration and install the database on the policy server as well as the endpoint server. When the process is complete, click Close. Click Close on the Endpoint Server's dialog box. Next, we are going to add an external address to the policy server so it can be made available outside of the organization. Open Smart Console and log in to the Endpoint Management Server. Double-click on the Endpoint Policy Server object. Select NAT from the left menu in the Policy Server configuration. Select Add Automatic Address Translation Rules checkbox. Set the translation method to static. Enter the external IP address that you are going to want the endpoint agents to communicate to and click OK. In the top left corner menu, select Install Database. Ensure that the Endpoint Security Manager and the Endpoint Security Policy servers are selected and click Install to install the database. Click Publish and Install. Once the database has been installed, you can close out Smart Dashboard. If you have installed the policy server in a DMZ, you will need to create a rule to allow external access in your firewall using the IP addresses you used for the policy server. Port 80 and port 443 will need to be allowed in the firewall rule.